Okay, it's 6 o'clock, October 2nd. We're having our bi-monthly select board meeting. I'd like to open the meetings, select persons present, all three, Mike, Jeff, Josh. I'd like to introduce our new town manager as a new person present, Brian Mullis.
Happy to be here, folks.
Michelle, the town clerk, Matt, our fire chief, and we might as well start here. Barbara.
Barb Skinner from Recovery Wellness Community Center.
I'm Alan Burgess from the Recovery Wellness Community Center.
John Fratano, 2 Nights Brewing.
Okay, that's public present. Let's start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, item 2, open session. This is normally limited to 2 minutes per chair. Barbara Skinner, Recovery Wellness Community Center.
We wanted to give you guys an invite. Sorry we didn't get it sent out to you. I tried through the email but couldn't. We are having a grand opening this Saturday from 12 to 6. We'll have speakers from 1 to 3:30, we're not quite sure, and then it's going to be pretty much meet and greet, talk about what we're doing. I do want you to know that we do have a thank you in that presentation because you guys weren't here then. But the town has welcomed us with open arms for what we're doing. And we want to be there for the town as well. And Alan's going to speak a little to that. We want it to be very community centered. We're going to be working with people who are in recovery, both alcohol, drugs, trauma of any kind. We will not be doing harm reduction. We do give out Narcan and train Narcan. That's the only drug which isn't one.
Can I ask you a quick question? By harm reduction, you're talking Suboxone or methadone?
Suboxone and methadone are actually medical. That has to be done by a physician. When I say harm reduction, I mean we are not giving out clean needles to people.
Oh, okay.
We are not
All right.
those kind of things.
Okay, thank you.
One, I don't honestly believe in that. Two,
My background is as a paramedic, so
if
I
it
agree
were
with
going
you.
to be used, that's more for city area, not rural.
I agree with you again.
When I spoke a year and a half ago to let the folks know that we're planning to buy the old Catholic church, they were excited because of the needle issue down at the pond and all that. Alan's PAC team, which is the Piscataquis Area Community Coalition, PAC, plan on starting to do some cleanup down there next spring. We want to be part of this community. We want to work with everybody in the community as a whole. When we first started, it was for adults. We've listened to the people in our community, and it's going to be a family recovery center.
It's great.
And to reiterate, it's at the site of the old Catholic church.
Correct. Yep. And we would love to have all or any of you come up for that grand opening.
I will do my best to be there Saturday afternoon.
Great.
That'd be great.
And Alan just want to talk a little bit about the PAC and how to say as well.
Yeah. So I'm Alan Burgess, and I am the volunteer coordinator and community outreach for the Recovery Wellness Community Center. So one of the big things she kind of had spoke to with the PAC. That's one thing that we do as a organization. We basically have a strategy that says if we hang flyers and hang an open side and stay inside and wait for people to come, they're not going to come, right? We need to be out and we need to be involved in the communities. So we've done that with a few different strategies. One is become an instructor for this thing called Prime for Life. So we're going to be in the schools, building a relationship with the kids. So we teach in prevention, I'll be teaching prevention, and then if they don't listen to us, you know what I mean, learn about prevention, they'll know, they'll already have some relationship, they'll know they can come to us, right? And it's important to reiterate, we're peer support, so we don't do counseling, we don't do medication, we don't do neither, we just are a peer support, we're a place for meetings, gatherings. So our substance affected youth group is taking off already, we're really excited about it. We had an event where we invited the whole family to come, and we had a lot of kids affected, mostly like kind of kids that are living with their grandparents, kids that are living with their aunts and uncles, those kind of kids, and they found a sense of community affected by substances, and we're gonna get that group started.
It's called Substance Affected Youth.
Yeah, and they call it the SAY program. We're working with Panquist, we're working together with these organizations, and so one thing our SAY group is gonna do, and this is kind of what I want to get on you guys' radar screen about, it's not happening now, but our SAY group's gonna do is like, these kids get together and they just do things. They develop a sense of community. Right? They are around kids that are experiencing the same thing as them, and they get to arts and crafts, maybe that kind of stuff. Some things that have been thrown around is like, there used to be in Shannon Forest, like an idea of helping these kids build something, right? And then they can go hang it somewhere. And that's something we can talk to you guys more about, but then they can take people there and say, this is what we did, you know what I mean? And those are the kind of things that we're gonna be doing with the kids. That
We're planning a Halloween party, Halloween night.
we'll be doing those kind of things. And then the PAC, she already mentioned it, one thing the PAC came up with was, we're gonna be out in the community. Like that's, so building that liaison between people that are struggling with addiction and people that are not is important to us. And we feel like cleaning up the beach is a really good place to start. One thing we'd want to talk to you guys about is if we could maybe put some signage down there that said, not so much about not littering there, but
Not
more
littering
about
or something saying,
if you're struggling.
if you're
That's what we would say.
struggling, contact us.
If you're struggling with addiction.
Not don't use, not all the no-no-nos. If you're struggling with substance use, contact us.
So we'd like to just keep the beach clean. People feel like there's obviously there's an anger there, right? It makes people angry, and we want to try to bridge that gap the best we can. People that aren't using can come to us, and people that are can come to us. We can be that middle ground. That's,
It's basically gonna be a safe, sober community place that we have games, we have puzzles, we have cribbage, we have all kinds of different things there ready for people to come in. And if they just wanna sit and crochet, I've got a bunch of yarn and crochet hooks and all there. I've got a nice little art center started. So even if someone's just home alone, have had, recent trauma, somebody passed away, they can come hang with us and not feel so alone.
yeah, that's our information. One other thing, real quick. We'll also be in the jails too. I've got my background check done for Charleston, and I'm working on Piscataquis. We're getting there. We're not quite in yet, but we're getting there. Basically, we're gonna do the same idea. Have meetings there, build that relationship. Idea being, this is our like vision. When you get out of jail, specifically for substance use, but anything, you know to come right to the recovery center.
That's what we're
And we will help you. We will help you. We'll help you find a job. We'll help you stay off. There'll be support there, support groups for people that are kind of.
My two most recent jobs was mental health case manager, you know that. Did that for 16, 17 years, and most recently I worked at EMDC doing workforce development. So, how's my guy doing?
Good.
He took one of my kiddos in for a work experience. So I have the experience with helping people with their resumes, finding jobs, getting into school. I've talked to Kim Morrison at EMDC, and she's going to have a workforce development specialist come out for the situations like a work experience or on-the-job training, those kind of things, apprenticeships. So we have been donated 2 computers so that we can help folks with their resumes. If somebody needs assistance with getting food stamps, whatever, I've got all that experience. So we'll have those computers set up to help folks do those things as well. Because I feel living in this community as long as I have, not Sangerville, but I've worked a lot in Sangerville with folks. I'm just in Parkman across from the river, the pond. Living in this community, I know the issues. Alan knows the issues. Georgia knows the issues. Our other person, we're here for our community. We want to help in any way we can to make people's lives better.
You guys the only one in Piscataquis County doing this?
Yes.
Yeah, the reason that we got our money through the large opioid settlements, and the reason that we were given the money to purchase the building was because the governor had promised there'd be a recovery center in every county, and Piscataquis was the only one without. We chose Sangerville because we look at Piscataquis County not as how many acres there are, but where is the most people. And that's really, we're central, Sangerville Central in my mind for that. And also Dexter, Harmony, Abbott, Wellington, they have to go to Bangor or Waterville because there's not even anything in Skowhegan. So we felt this was a good central spot for this community.
Yep.
It's a bit of a new experience, really, because most of these places are based on population, right? In Bangor, Portland, these places, even when we try to learn from them, right? The way that they do outreach is just so different than the way that we have to do outreach. Because they have homeless communities, right? They go right to there, and that's where they start. That's where they do their outreach, right? It's very, like, direct. For us, we have to build community. It's our only, we have to build trust, and we have to build community.
And that's another thing that we have is we have a telehealth room, the old confessional. So if someone has a doctor's appointment, if you know someone has a doctor's appointment, they don't have transportation, but they can get to us, they can do their telehealth right here. And a lot of the doctor's offices know that we're doing that as well. We're also going to have Zoom meetings. So if the barn in Bangor is doing some kind of recovery something, we'll have Zoom meetings to go into those so folks can come to us and not have to go out so far. We've tried to think of every little aspect. If you guys come up with something that you think that we can do to help out, let us know. We're not housing people. We're not.
Are you going to be?
No.
No.
No, but we are working with a group that's looking for housing. Matter of fact, I talked to them the other day, we're at the Recovery Palooza. Dolly Perkins has the old Mayo Counseling Building, the old school in there, and she said it would be a perfect kind of a place for that setup. So I let him know and gave him Dolly's information. So we're hoping to have, because we have a lot of folks that don't have somewhere to go, or they go back to where they were using, and they're gonna just start up again.
Live your career of it.
Yeah, I mean, we wanna help people move forward. Alan's gonna talk about his own story at the center on Saturday. And he has a couple other folks that are gonna talk, about what it's gonna mean to have something here.
Excellent.
That's very good.
Do you guys need any tech or anything like that? Projectors, any help with network, stuff like that?
We have a lot of stuff. We may. I don't think
We very well could.
Okay. You got me,
it's
no, I
okay.
got that, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'll talk to you guys about it again.
And if you know anybody, we're planning to have, instead of like a tree thing like I did a couple of years ago, we're gonna have an auction. 2 weeks before Christmas, so we're looking for items to auction off, big and small.
Cool.
Because
Congratulations.
we need to be self-sufficient. I mean, we've got the money for 2 years that's gonna help us do what we need to do for 2 years through the council. But we need to raise money and be self-sufficient, because everything we're doing for the community, we're not having them pay. It's all for them. Kiwanis gave us money to buy all the craft supplies.
Yep.
Again, we just wanna help the community. You know me.
I do. Well, thank you for coming in, sharing with
Thank you,
us
guys.
what you're
And
doing.
we really appreciate Sangerville, just open arms for us. Went up to the thing you guys did, and I took over a couple spots so people could take pee breaks.
Perfect. It was great.
That was a
We
great
appreciate
thing.
it.
And that's something we'd like to do in the, August is overdose month, and we're looking at maybe doing something at the park for overdose month. Because it's scary, and there's so many affected people who have lost people.
Well, cool, keep us in the loop.
We will.
We appreciate you doing it tonight.
Thanks. I hope to be there Saturday as well.
I hope so. I look forward to seeing as many folks that can come in.
Yeah.
We, Helping Hands is providing food, we have a cake coming, a lot of people are providing all kinds of stuff. We're pretty excited.
Awesome.
Thank you for letting us come in
Yeah.
and talk to you guys.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, we're gonna move on. Item 3 is signing the minutes of the board meeting,
We don't have any at this time.
because we do not have a deputy clerk to print
You
them.
don't, and I can't type fast enough. I can't even get it on the
Okay.
website.
So that will be, you'll just bring those to our next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did we have anybody else that wanted to speak?
Don't have the deputy clerk, please.
Was he here to speak during that, or is he?
No, he's listed
Okay.
down.
Yeah. Alan just wrote a note with it.
Alright, perfect. See ya.
I looked at that.
Jeff, needing help.
Perfect. You staying that one or heading out? Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
John, we haven't forgotten you, we've got you listed later in the agenda
That's okay.
here.
Yeah.
Okay, just wanna know we wasn't skipping you.
No, that's not bad. Yeah.
Okay, moving on then to item 4. Review of the treasurer's warrants, payroll 68 and 69, and accounts payable 70.
Yes, so on the AP warrant, number 70, we had 2 last-minute bills come in from the Eagle Company that's doing our computer upgrades. I believe, Brian, you
I
have-
just put them right in front of Josh there.
Okay, I believe one is
I just grabbed
1,000 and the other one is $624 and something. If you want to just add them to the bottom of the warrant before you sign, then that will give me permission to go ahead and pay them. They will be here tomorrow night. Caleb is gonna be putting the, firewall in, so I can hand him the check right now.
This is just Lance's.
We didn't hear anything further from Wentworth, did we?
No,
The, on yours, Michelle, the overtime we talked about, is that was on the last warrant?
this should be in one of
It's
those.
it's
Yeah.
gonna be in one of these,
It's,
okay?
no, it should be on a payroll warrant, it's one of the payroll warrants.
So it's got it's on this one.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, so that's,
This was the bills right there.
gotcha, okay. Gotcha. So that's all done and taken care of?
Yeah.
Wow. So, you're gonna pencil these in at the end?
You can add them right on the top sheet, right under where your hand was. Put them
Okay.
right on the front sheet, and then the guys can sign them with you. And that will give me permission to go ahead and actually run those bills. When I do it, it's gonna produce another warrant, but that won't be, so it's kind of a catch-22. Because when I run the checks, it makes me print them before I get a warrant. So by you putting them on this warrant, it's a pre-approval for a check that's gonna be issued tomorrow.
Okay,
It's kind of one of the things I tried to spend some time doing yesterday, is wrapping my head around that whole check issuing.
It takes a little bit to catch on.
Intuitively, it seems to be kind of a backward system there.
Yes, it is.
wow.
Yeah, there's 21 pages. I think that one
This
was
is-
a
this is-
$1,000 one.
Right, and this is the one, we've talked about it, but this is the,
And they tell, every call, every detail, everything is in that report. They have actually started, now our onboarding is pretty much done, that's what that bill is. So now we will, anything that we need to have, we'll actually issue a service ticket, and then they'll get back to us.
So there's not a total on this, Michelle, unless
Should
I'm
be right on the
missing it.
front cover.
It's on the front, I looked on the back for it too, but it's actually on the front, the first page.
Okay. So it's exactly $1,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is what they had quoted us in the very beginning, was, there was $1,000 one and there was another $235 one. That's the detail on the $1,000. Oh, and to bring your attention, I'm glad I just remembered this, but you have a bill in there for Brenda Schultz. So the question would be, how are we gonna proceed? That will be later on in the discussion under the old business. We can always go back and put a hold, or we can proceed and pay that bill.
So is that written in here so that we cover that ground when we get there?
Yes.
That's in the budget? I mean, in the
It's down in
agenda?
the old business when we do the updates.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's probably better to do it down there because we've got an email from, it was Caleb, right? That
Yeah.
gave us that email that pretty much spelled out kind of what we need to discuss in detail.
And you each have a copy, I believe, of that email from Caleb today.
Okay, we're done with that? All right, moving on. Old business. Item A is update on Eagle computer system.
Pretty much, actually, I may have confused Michelle here because I wanted an update on Town Cloud and an update on Eagle, and they're kind of intertwined.
Okay.
Basically, we asked for some clarification. Michelle said Caleb's gonna be there tomorrow night doing the firewall. I've got kind of a bucket list of things I wanna go over. I'm gonna go home for a couple hours and then come back in so I can be there for part of the time with him. But that's kind of nuts and bolts things that you guys really don't care about. But one of the things that he brought to our attention was an email, I believe Michelle said is included, where if we upgrade to Microsoft Office 365, and if we go with Town Cloud, the town web page, that would pretty much eliminate anything that we really have to have Brenda involved for at all. Going forward, and that seems to be something, and Town Cloud told us yesterday that pretty much they're ready to go anytime we are.
We just need the go-ahead from the board. What are your goals? What are you looking at?
And that, from what little I've looked at it, and I think Michelle would say the same, I'm impressed with what I've seen so far.
Oh, yeah, with Eagle? Oh, absolutely. And
Well,
Town
with
Cloud,
Eagle
too.
and Town Cloud both. And Microsoft 365, I think, would be a good update for us for those computers in a lot of different levels. And, you know, we talked about, I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but we looked at the budget and it's well within what we can.
Right, we have about $16,000 left to work with. I'm putting together a list of all these monthly fees. I'll have that ready for you the next meeting. Make sure I get everything included in that so we know where we stand.
So my recommendation would be we go ahead with the Microsoft 360 upgrade, and that we go ahead with Town Cloud and we do it as soon as possible, and then we terminate our relationship with Ms. Schultz. The question outstanding is it $467
Right around there.
bill from her that she feels we owe her for her services to the town of Sangerville. And I believe from the last meeting, there was a discussion that maybe the services weren't quite rendered, so I think Michelle and I need to have some direction on how the board would like to dispose of that bill, and if the board will authorize me to go ahead and send her a letter terminating our relationship with her as a vendor for the town of Sangerville.
So her bill runs January to December.
Is that
Correct.
Well, it's kind of hard to say because I have seen her being paid in August, and last year's bill said 1 year and 3 months. So I'm not really sure.
So it would, in theory, would terminate in December.
Right.
So in her mind, she's provided us with 10 months of service this calendar year.
Have we decided if we're gonna need something from her? That was kinda up in the air still, right?
From the conversation with Caleb yesterday, we both feel that we don't need anything else. We have secured the domain name of sangervilleme.com. We've got that secured. The email, I believe, is gonna change, so
Yes.
it's not gonna be sangervilleme.com, we're gonna end up going with a .gov. So that's gonna release that issue. So, from what I can see, we don't need anything
And
else.
I agree with that, because Michelle showed me the correspondence between her and Caleb, and we discussed it.
On the
And
.gov.
I do not see any reason we would need to contact Ms. Schultz for anything under this.
So the domain name that she has is the Sangerville.com.
.com, I believe that is correct.
So how do we make sure that that doesn't get misused with our name on it?
I do not know the answer to that question, Jeff.
She keeps telling Caleb from Eagle that she doesn't have anything that would help us. So whether she doesn't know that she really owns this or not, we don't know. But Caleb's talked to her multiple times, emailed anyway. Talked to her once and she won't answer him back. And she won't answer me either, so.
You know, you can see my fear, like,
Exactly,
we've been
yes.
operating under that email or that web address or whatever. And when, we move to something else and it gets in the wrong hands, the wrong information can be in the wrong hands.
Sir?
So, have you guys looked into Google Workspace at all? Is that something you looked into?
What is it?
Google Workspace to
No.
run your town? No? Okay.
No, we've strictly gone with the recommendations that this Eagle Technology company,
Eagle Technology?
Eagle Technology, and that was on the MMA website that I found them.
Okay. And as far as your Sangerville.com, somebody had to have bought that at some point.
Right.
So whoever owns that, just if you maintain paying the yearly subscription for that, which should not be that expensive at all. I'm talking probably less than $80.
No,
No, no,
no, that's the
If you're
situation
paying
we're
more
in.
than that, you're paying way too much.
there you go. You got it all figured out now.
You do now?
No, you've got it figured out. We're paying way too much
Oh, shit.
and getting
Okay.
nothing for it.
Yeah, well, whoever bought that for you guys, you gotta get custody of that thing. So they can't.
That's my fear right there.
Let me try having a conversation
With
with
Brenda.
Barbara. A friendly,
Yeah.
you know, walk into the mill and have a cup of coffee with her type of thing. And see if I can,
I'm for that. I just don't wanna leave that floating around out there and have people assume that's what they should be doing and have it get in the wrong hands.
Right.
You know, we've operated our town government under that handle for a long time.
You can keep it. You can keep it, and then when people go to Sangerville.com or whatever it is, it'll redirect them to Sangerville.me. or
Can we keep it if we don't own it?
You'll have to get,
We've done the transfer.
you'll have to transfer.
We
We
have
have
done,
done the transfer, that transfer is complete.
it is.
SangervilleME.com.
That makes me feel better.
Is transferred over and it's in our custody.
So how
Okay.
long will it take Town Cloud to set us up?
I got the
They-
impression that as soon as we say go, that they're gonna start going and
Right.
you know,
So I guess what I would like to see is that if they're gonna do it relatively quickly, let's have Town Cloud set it up, get through it, and then we'll know for 100% sure, oh, well, we needed this, or we don't need this, you know? And then we'll pay her.
get the
and-
horse in front of the cart, not the other way around.
Right, right.
That makes a lot more
That's
sense.
what I'm thinking.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so then, do you want to put a hold on that bill that's on that warrant until we,
At least,
think so,
at least until Brian has a conversation with
Okay.
Brenda.
so we need to,
And if, in theory, she's provided 10 months of service to us, and in theory, we owe her money, whatever that service might be. And we need to make it go away.
I guess my thing at this point is you know, I'll do the, hey, I'm the new town manager, I kinda need to know, I kinda like to know from you what you've been doing for Sangerville and what you expect from Sangerville, and then I'll do a lot of listening, and if you gentlemen have questions, I'd be happy to ask them on behalf of the board. And you guys can email those to me, text them to me, whatever, if you come, cause this, I think, like Josh said, it makes more sense before I contact her to have our town cloud stuff in place. And probably
think so,
have
too.
our Microsoft 365 on the computers first. And then I'll go be very pleasant and polite to Brenda, and professional, and then I will bring the contents of that conversation back to this board for discussion.
And this Microsoft 360 or 365, whatever.
365, I think, isn't
it is 365, and they have a governmental, package.
And that's
That
gonna be,
actually Melissa, when she saw our stuff, recommended, it's the same package.
and that comes with the town cloud thing, they provide that service with the whole town cloud, it all comes in one
And
package.
probably Google Works dovetails into that too, if we wanted to.
Well,
do it.
Google Workspace has its own, has
Oh,
Google Docs,
platform.
Google Forms, Google everything.
Oh, okay,
It's
so yeah,
what-
that's what I use at home, actually,
Yeah.
so I should know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and then the school I work for uses it, and my boss actually works, he does, Exeter, town of Exeter, he does all their IT work, and he uses, Google Cloud with them too. I think it would possibly save you some money, but.
Yeah, it is a lot less expensive, that's one of the reasons we use it instead of Microsoft
Right.
stuff at home.
Right.
And I haven't had any issues with it, but I haven't tried to use it in this format either. I guess I lean pretty heavily towards this expert we've hired and.
And this is the direction they're pushing,
Yeah, very clearly.
very clearly pushing.
What was the cost on the 365?
It was like $400.
Is
Yeah,
that
that's
per
right.
computer or the whole thing?
Well, I think that was the
I don't know
whole,
the answer to that.
I
thought
think
it
that was the whole,
thing.
I think it's the whole thing, but there's also a monthly fee.
It's $32 a month, but the initial license or package or whatever seems to me like it's $400 to get started. And then
Well,
it's $32 a
We'll
month
double check. on
per
that.
unit. So the 32 is per unit.
Right,
Yes.
'cause I just got it on my desktop and my laptop, and it was like 180, and then there's a certain price per month per unit. Yeah,
So we're not ready to make a motion and make a move on this without real numbers, or we are?
I mean, if,
I would, the Microsoft 365, that would be run by Caleb and Eagle. They would get it set up. It also goes into security because it is the government package. So that would also tie into the security piece that we're working with them.
Is that why they're pushing so hard for
I think
it?
so, yeah. They're trying to get all that stuff up in place.
To be into that .gov
And
thing.
I guess my hope, and I haven't cleared this up with Caleb yet, but my hope is that our Trio stuff will work better in this system, that you'll be able to get those reports to the Department of Motor Vehicles easier because we're gonna be on compatible platforms. That, you know, that I can get in my damn email.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would really, I think we ought to have a motion on the town cloud, I think we ought to move forward on it. My recommendation to you folks is we move forward on the town cloud, and then we'll report back.
On
The
the-
Microsoft 365, there's no harm in waiting 2 weeks to the next meeting for that I can see. Unless we actually need it for Town Cloud, which I do not.
I don't
believe
think
we
the
do.
two are tied together until we
I don't-
tie them together.
Exactly,
I hate to make a motion on something that we don't have a solid concrete number on. That's all.
right, but Town Cloud, we are solid on
We
that.
have, that's in the
Right.
warrant for this
But the
time.
Microsoft 365, we'll hold on that until we have a solid number to present this board.
Okay, so we need a motion on the floor to move forward with the town cloud.
So what will happen next week is, Brian and I on Wednesday will call, Nina and Chris, we'll talk to them, and then we'll be able to set them, we'll get them started. We'll do a demonstration like we did with them.
Yep.
I make a motion that we approve to
Move
go
forward,
ahead with Town Cloud.
Second.
vote. Moving forward to town cloud. So that's the update on Eagle and on town cloud.
Yes.
Okay, next, the update on Wentworth, the engineer for the building.
I called them yesterday and still waiting for a response. Now, it's possible, like I said, I've got a snafu with my email that I'm gonna have Caleb take a look at tomorrow. So it's possible this gentleman emailed me back and I haven't gotten it yet, but I did call him yesterday, and I will keep working on making contact with him.
Okay. And next, an update on Rich Campbell.
Again, called him yesterday. He got back to Michelle in the form of an email, said we're in phase 1, expects it to take about a month, maybe a little longer, and then go to phase 2, and he will give us an update when phase 1 is complete.
Okay, no other old business. We'll move on to new business. First item, liquor license renewal for Two Nights Brewing LLC.
That is sitting on your table right in front of Mike.
Okay,
Oh, you have a copy, perfect. All right, I brought one for you, so these.
Is this a renewal?
Yes.
The page, or your signature will be page 11.
Yep.
Or 6, sorry, page 6. 11 is the last page.
and there's no changes to the licensing, it's just renewing the license you currently have.
Correct. Yep.
How was the business doing?
Pretty good. Yeah, this summer was a little slower than last summer, but it's, overall we're doing fine. A lot of expansion going on. Trying
I
to
noticed that driving by.
too many irons in the fire, to tell you the truth.
What are your hours that you're open, like,
Just Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
and
Yeah,
like,
and we close at 8 o'clock on Friday, 8 o'clock on Saturday, and then 6 o'clock Sunday.
at what time do you open?
4, noon, and 2.
Cause my wife and I are trying to get over and visit your establishment.
We sometimes, we try to do a special dinner once or twice a month on a Wednesday night. Those go over pretty well. We sell tickets in advance to those. It's been fun. And we definitely need to open up more nights a week. 16 hours a week is bare minimum. We'd like to open up some more.
Are you like everybody else in the food service industry, finding staffing to open?
Yep, it
Is
is
that-
tough. People that actually want to show up and not give an attitude when they're there. You know? It's tough.
So we need to sign this copy
Yeah.
for him.
Yep, and we should actually have a copy in the office. I've looked around and have not found any copies of that license. So if you could.
I can have extras here, yeah.
I was gonna say, can you give me a copy or?
Sure, or if you wanna just, do you wanna sign both, or?
Yeah, why don't you
Yeah.
do that and then I can have one in the office, that'd be perfect, thank you.
Perfect, yeah. It's been a different experience, I can tell you that. I've
So-
never
so you
done
do-
anything like this in my life.
So you do your own on-site brewing?
Yeah, we brew on site, and we have a small menu, only 4 items. Wintertime, we add a chowder and a stew to the menu. And actually, our winters are just as busy as our summers.
How many
We have
different-
snowmobile traffic.
How many different brews are you doing?
Right now, I have 9 on tap, right
Wow.
now. Yeah, which is, it's hard to maintain that.
Make a good IPA?
I have 1 IPA. I'm not anti-IPA, but everybody else has too many of them, so I cut back, I only do 1.
Hops are good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense though. It was interesting, I went into the Stress Free Moose, my wife and I went there for dinner the other night, and they had something on the menu or something of two nights brewery or whatever they send us.
Whatever they send us, that's right, yeah. Right now they have, I think our Kirkland, our Golden Ale, and our Blonde Ale machine guns. So,
Bludgeon Blueberry is my favorite, just saying.
Legendary is quite popular.
Yeah,
Yes.
that one is, I like that one.
Yeah.
Here's me.
Actually, you make more of
just
that,
say
we'll
yes,
sell that too.
So do you think you're developing a pretty good regular customer base?
I think so, yeah. We have quite a few weekly regulars that come in, either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, or all 3 days sometimes. A lot of people from Greenville come down, Dover, right here in town. So, yeah, it's pretty,
So for those of us sitting at this table up here, you know, successful businesses in town are something we want to support as much as possible.
thank you.
Absolutely. We've got you back on that. Okay, so that's done.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you can give me the color copy.
Yeah.
Perfect, thanks. All right,
Thanks for your patience.
no problem, thank you guys. Have a good rest of your evening.
You too.
You too.
Alan, reach out if you need anything.
Okay, thanks
All
for
right,
joining.
thanks.
Okay, moving on, item B, pod containers for the records in our old building. Michelle has done some homework on what it costs to rent pods. The issue we have is we need to move our documents out of the vault storage in the old building for renovation purposes. The decision was made to put it into pods, storage units that we can store in our town garage. So we had 2 options moving forward to either rent from U-Haul or Pods or one of the brand named ones. Or Tilton Auction Company has 3 8-foot pods going into the auction Saturday. Had a discussion with them. If we decided to purchase them, need to show up at the auction and buy them.
His auction or the car auction?
It's the equipment auction.
Okay.
It's a public equipment auction, it's a public sale. And I talked to Kevin and he said if the town is interested in buying them or bidding on them, they would set up a bidder badge for the town and they would be billed directly from Tilton Auctions directly to Town of Sangerville. We didn't want any gray area in any of this, and I don't want to be involved other than am willing to be a buying agent for them, and the auction would bill them directly to the town.
And we don't own them.
And we would own them. Now these, I have pictures if you guys would like to see them.
Are they a pod or a Connex box?
They are a mini Connex box fully rodent-proof, one-trip, brand-new boxes.
So like 8x8s.
They're 8x8s or 10x10s, and there's three of them, one smaller than the other two. And they all have a window with steel bars on it, a people door, and a wooden floor. They're all sealed doors, so you can see there's a rubber gasket around every door. They're brand new one-trip containers. And I can pass that around and slide sideways if you wanna look at them, but Michelle has done some homework and you came up with $190 a month per pod.
Right.
It's about the best buy we're gonna get.
Yep,
And those
because the
pods are-
pod company doesn't deliver up here, so U-Haul would be the next available place. And unfortunately, because we don't know what the condition, I mean, how long it's gonna take to do the revitalization of the old building, you don't wanna be renting for like 2-3 years this pod.
A pod or two pods, or however many we think we
Right.
need.
Even that, we could put it out, when we're done with it, out behind the town garage and use it for storage of whatever later on.
Or sell
We
it.
can sell it.
Right.
Just, I view $193 a month if we end up needing two of them. That's a dead-end street with the amount of time we need it for. Last sale, these small ones, some of them did in that $1,300-1,400 range, some of them did a little over $2,000. But you'd own it,
Well, that's only 1 year of that.
that's correct. To me, all the storage solutions I've looked at, and I think that Michelle has looked at, these appear to be the best bang for the buck.
Well, and I like the sealed door on those, especially where we've already got an issue with the books and the mold and whatnot. I think the sealed door.
These are fully sealed, rubber gasketed on every door.
And we need to do something relatively soon. I don't wanna say this is emergent, but it's definitely a very urgent issue to
Right.
get those
Is
records
there
in
power
there.
to the, you put power in them, or is it just sealed?
They're just a shipping container. What they are is, he buys these little mini excavators, like half size this table, and they put two of them in them and ship them overseas. And when they get here, they're in a container. And rather than return the container for the credit, he puts them through the auction and sells them, along with the mini excavators that he buys in them.
Doesn't say the length.
Well, and the other thing too is this building, you know, it's getting colder all the time and we want, if we're gonna be moving some of this stuff.
That was my fear, is
We don't wanna be waiting until December.
we got all this stuff to clean up and move out, get them clean before they go in.
Right.
And we got another 3 or 4 weeks of good weather to do that.
How many
So-
you gotta have?
I
Did you
really,
see it, Brian?
yeah,
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I think I did show them to you.
It's-
So my thoughts of this, and I see if you guys agree with this. We've got records that need to go in one of these that are information that's not public information. We've also got all of our town maps that are in the map stand, all the books, all the lot plots, all that stuff that's up in the old town office park that is stuff like code enforcement could go in and look through the maps and stuff to do his job. My thoughts are, we need a pod for the secure information that one person has a key to. And then the stuff that's like code enforcement, planning board, stuff that's not super private information, could be in a second pod. I think we need two of them.
Yeah.
And I think with the volume of stuff we have, I think the vault down cellar is gonna take up a big piece of one of these pods.
I was gonna say, I would almost suggest 3. I mean, if we have,
You always need more space than you think you.
Now, we're gonna have to do a
Always.
cleaning before they go in?
Yes,
if the books have mold, yeah.
yeah, they'll have to be
We'll have
cleaned.
to do something with them.
So, there's 3 of these units at the sale. There's 2 that I think, and I just walked by them, I think 2 of them are 10x10 and one is 8x8. I think we should at least bid on the 2 10x10 units. I think our permanent records, as we clean them, we don't need to be able to get back in and look at them really, do we?
And I wouldn't say that, because my office has all kinds of those records from the lawyer being at the office. And we've gone all the way back to the 1700s, so,
So if that's the case, looking at what we've got for stuff in that building, if they've gotta be, so you can read them and they're accessible, you're gonna end up needing all three of them, I think.
I think you're right, I think, I mean, you're talking, would you say 10 by 10 by, what's the,
And there's some others there too, there's some, and they're actually, they're less than 10 feet wide, they're road width wide.
Yeah.
101 inches, I think. And then there's some 20 footers and some 40 footers with 4 compartments. Here is my fear with that. These small pods, I can load them right on my trailer and bring them home. And we can load them here and then haul them over there and put them in the building without having to hire specialty equipment to move the things. And if we go with one of those 40 footers and we freight it,
yeah,
You're
those are designed to be moved by crane, period.
right, you're gonna have to have something come in, pick it up, get wheels under it, and I don't wanna go through that.
Yeah,
And I think when we're done with them and we're gonna sell them, I think
these are more marketable.
these are more desirable.
and I would almost say, if we're talking about records that we need to be into, the 8x8 would be good for that. Because we could take the books that are downstairs in the old building, plus the records that I have in my office, that we just need to keep and be able for us to go in them. The 8x8 would be plenty of space, but all the other stuff that's in this building, you know.
We've gotta, it can't be that while we do the renovation.
Well,
So-
and I'm concerned about the security of some of these documents too, you know,
I am too.
we've got a responsibility to maintain these documents.
Yep,
And right now, they're very unsecured and,
and in the pod they're gonna be too, those are not built like these are. These right here, if you wanna get in them, you're gonna wanna bring a torch.
yeah,
And the beauty to this is they're gonna be in a locked building,
exactly.
and they themselves are going to be locked.
Right.
Because that building has other people in and out of it. But these have just really, really secure locks on them. They're solid.
Yeah,
And we just need to make a decision on this storage thing, and it doesn't matter, this popped up. I was previewing the equipment auction, and so I went down and looked at them, and to me, they look like the right answer.
yeah, I can tell you, my concern with the current town hall building, and, you know, certainly hope to God we don't have this issue, but I don't believe that sprinkler system is active right now, correct?
No, I think the water is,
That's supposed to be drained back, isn't it?
yeah, I think it's all drained back,
Oh, is it? Okay,
yeah.
so.
So, you're willing to truck them?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was gonna say, that was my next question, how
So
would
what-
we get them here?
and I don't know where we stand with that, but I have a 20-foot flat deck, 2 of them load right on it and go. That's not an issue to get them home. I haul from that auction every week, so it's not an
Sure.
issue to get them from there to here.
Sure, we can hire Scott to pick them up with a hoe and offload them easy enough if we have to.
Yeah, Warren's got a bucket loader right out back. I mean,
Yeah, the bucket loader will push them right in, yeah.
I think we could get them loaded.
Do you have a winch on your tail deck?
No, but if I haul it with my wrecker, I do.
Well,
I can-
because you could set them out here and then just winch them up onto your tail deck, do
Oh,
get them over there.
Yeah, I can hook it on the wheel lift, tilt it up, and winch them right on.
Yep.
So it's not an issue to, you know, that part of it. I think it's the cleanest, easiest, simplest thing to do. And I think in the end, when the building is done, if we don't need them, if they're in the same condition they are right now, they bring the same money or more that they do now. And when we liquidate them, it's free
Yeah,
storage.
cause we should be able to recover the money on it because you're bringing them home, you're sitting in an enclosed building, you're putting paper in them to store for a few years
Heated.
or a couple.
What's
of
that?
Heated, right? The building heated?
One bay
One
does.
bag. And
And we
if
gotta-
we got 8x10s, we could put 2, so 2 of them could go in the heat.
Right in the head of the bay,
Yeah.
yeah.
The only real question, in my mind, is budget.
That's right, that's where we're going.
Okay, so, your sheet, I don't know where this would fall, to tell you the truth. I've worked on it all day and I just really don't know under what category it would fall in.
There must,
Contingency.
contingency or equipment. I don't know if you could call it equipment, office equipment.
I suppose, but to me, something like this really falls into the category of what that contingency line item was designed for. But that's an opinion,
Well,
and the vote is yours.
In my mind, if we don't have to use it, if we can put it somewhere else, that would be great. But if we have to use it, we'll use it.
Right, I'm with you on that, Josh,
Yeah.
100%.
The only place I really see money is your overlay. But the question
And-
is,
and the
to
overlay-
run out of overlay, we have to go back to special town meeting, don't we? Or do we?
I didn't think we did. I thought that's what it was.
I've never used it before, so I don't know. the
So your
answer.
overlay, so if somebody comes in and abates their taxes, that's where it comes from. And that's a
Yeah.
decision made at this table.
And you have a line item for abatements though. You budgeted 32,000 for abatements but your discounts went over this year because obviously our summer got messed up with those.
Right,
Contingency, the miscellaneous one, the way I understand that they use that is if any of your accounts go over, they have an article in your warrant to take this contingency money and balance those accounts.
Yeah, that is true.
so we still need to figure out which account that it can go into, right? In this,
It should really come under, I would think it would come under either office equipment
office supplies or office equipment.
or general government. And I don't really see anything for a line item in general government that would cover it.
It depends on what they bring too, and that's the other thing we'll have to decide is what the ceiling is we wanna pay for each one of these things.
Here's the thought. We need that because of town hall renovations.
I had that same thought, I know right where you're going.
Good idea.
Out of
There you go.
Out of the 440,000.
There's,
Well, no,
Well,
that's,
but you
we've
have
got
20
12.5 right here.
yes, exactly.
Where are you at, Josh?
Right,
It's,
town hall renovations.
page 3.
Yep, gotcha. So it's listed as engineering and contracting.
Yeah, that's my only question mark.
Well, if you were to have to rent something,
Because, and, yeah, I mean, we've been pulling out of that, when really we could have been pulling out of the 442, right?
Well, I think,
So far, we pulled out of that line item, but we could have pulled out of the,
I think this passes a straight face test, because the only reason we need to do that is because the town hall, the building that contains these records, is not currently an adequate environment for them, and that we would have to move them anyway for the renovations. So, I mean, this would be in some ways no different than, hiring somebody to come in and clean or something like that.
right.
I mean, I think that Josh has got the right idea. I was kinda thinking of heading down that road myself.
There's no place for it to fit into Public Works where that's where they're going.
I was just looking at that.
yeah, I think Josh has the right idea.
I agree.
I do too.
There is actually some in Public Works,
Yeah, but Public Works is kinda outside your scope. because this really isn't a public works issue, it's a,
Yeah, the only way
Town
we can really
offices.
But it's
truly
a storage
connect it.
issue, and that's a storage, public works is.
Yeah, that's kind of a stretch though.
Well, I might be grasping, but
You're supposed to do your stretches every day.
Might wanna be grasping that money for lunch abatement.
Let's just take it out of the school budget. They got enough.
I'll agree with that one.
Dare
And
touch
I could
that.
do that one with a straight face.
So I think that, and again, it's hard because this isn't, we're not deciding on a fixed dollar amount. I tried to get a price out of him straight up. Let's just give me a price and we'll agree to buy all three of them.
This is
And,
one of the Tilton boys.
yeah, Kevin.
Kevin.
So, but Kevin's already listed them through proxy bid on this auction site, so once they're there, they're cemented, is what his words were. He said, so you'll have to just come fight for them with everybody else. So that's where we're at with them.
But that's not saying in another 2 weeks, he doesn't have another round of them.
He's not gonna have until the spring auction, cause he buys about a month before each one of them. He has a spring sale and a fall sale.
Yeah.
And he buys a bunch of this Chinese equipment, and that's how it's shipped. So we wouldn't see any more till spring, and I think we need to deal with this before spring.
Yeah, I agree.
And I've gone online and looked and did some price comparisons and other people that have these things, and I can't find any of these small ones that all start at 20 footers. And 20 footers have the big double latch doors on the back, and that's it. No side doors, no windows.
Right.
And I think they'd be a lot harder. A 20 footer I could handle moving that around, but anything bigger than that,
Right.
it's gonna be a problem.
Yeah. I'm dealing with it coming from right there. Town hall renovations.
Well, the important piece to this is too, is that when we're done with these, we sell them, we return that money back to the town hall fund.
Right.
Right.
So it's essentially a temporary expense for the renovation.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't see any other place to do it if that's what we're gonna do.
yeah, I don't think renting anything is really feasible. It's gonna be too much over time.
Just you look at the cost, if you figure it on a 1 year cost, it's still way more, and I went and looked at those containers that U-Haul has. I wouldn't want my personal documents locked up in that container and think they were safe,
Yeah,
compared to these. These, you want a stick of dynamite if you're gonna get in. They're stout. Okay, so. The rest of the year from here until next budget cycle, what do we have for expected expenses on line 72? We've entered into a contract with Wentworth.
yep, and that, we've only taken out the retainer fees
That's,
out of that, and that's out of the 25,000, that's not out of the 440,000.
Right.
So we still have that money that's still sitting in the bank. So the 12,000 is, we don't have anything else that I'm aware of coming out.
The reality is we're probably heading into the time of year where it's unlikely that we're gonna be starting to do any actual physical work on that building before next summer.
the only
Spring,
piece
so-
I think we're gonna see is the engineering piece start to
Yeah.
come together. I was making sure we're not cutting off our nose here on the engineering side of things.
But again, if we are, we go into that 400,000, cause it is still integral.
Earmarked for
It's
that
earmarked
project.
renovation.
specifically for that.
Yeah, we're not moving it away from the account for a
Right.
nefarious purpose, we're using it
For that reason.
for that
Right.
reason.
Yes. Okay,
Well, I mean, really, I just think we ought to make a motion to not exceed $12,000 or for you to
Right, and
bid
it-
on these and get as many as you can for less than,
So you bid on, is it bid on as a package or is it one at a time?
one at a time.
One at a time.
Yep, they're individual items, and so, as an example, if I paid $1,500 for one, there'll be an auction fee based on the dollar amount. So it would be 1,500, usually the auction fee on that amount of money is gonna be a couple $100.
So they do a percentage,
They
like
do.
12%.
It's not a percentage, it goes, it isn't, it goes in, $100 to 5,000, and from 5,000
Oh,
there's a
okay, I
different fee assigned to each increment that you go up. If I get up to 20,000, it's $475 auction fee.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think we just need to put a cap on either each one, or
I
what we
think it
can
would
spend.
be easier for you, to give you the leeway to have like a total amount. That way, if you can buy one for 2,000 and, the next one 6,000, but you think it's worth it. I mean, these are arbitrary numbers, of course, but
Yeah.
it gives you a little bit of freedom, a little bit of leeway there. That
My
would-
gut tells me, I've watched these a lot,
That would be my opinion, but again, this is your decision as the board, not mine.
right? I've watched these a lot, and these little ones don't come along very often. I've only seen them 2 or 3 times. Last time, they were doing in that just over $2,000 a piece range. And some of the bigger ones go down as low as 1,200, and I've seen them as much as 2,500. So I'm anticipating paying a couple grand a piece for them, is what I think. My
that
fear
is-
is these have the window in them, and people might get all excited and make little camp cabins out of them and go crazy on them, because it's a public auction.
yeah.
And I can't see paying $3,000 or $4,000 a piece for them, but.
Wouldn't want to be in anybody doing it.
And I don't know,
What's the length of any time?
Be a damn heavy ice shack, wouldn't it?
I don't know the exact dimensions. I know their road width. I know they're 101 inches wide.
Kind of related to a cell, you know what I mean?
They're long enough so I can lay down in them, got room to boot, and I can stand up, and there's room over my head.
So are there some 20-footers going through?
Yes, the 20-footers have no side door, no window, and they have the big industrial double latch doors like a
But
tractor
I mean,
trailer.
if we could buy a 20-footer reasonable, those aren't that hard to cut and put a door into either,
No,
so that's,
and we could deal with a 20-footer. It's just gonna be hard to put it in the building. It's gonna be harder to move when it's loaded. These are just ideal if we can
Right.
get them.
Yeah,
So
well,
let's
all I
just-
was thinking is if them start going crazy and you're just like, no, I'm out, and all of a sudden a 20-footer comes up for $1,200,
Right.
buy it.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. We just need to put a ceiling on it, and I'll see if I can buy at least 2 of them. If they go short money, we'll buy all 3 of them.
I mean, 8,000 is like the number that keeps popping in my head, don't exceed
Mm-hmm.
on the 3, 8,000, don't spend 8,000 on one, but.
Right. No,
yeah, this seems reasonable.
Right. And that should be more than plenty, I would hope.
yeah, if we could, if we could get a couple of these, or even if we end up with a small one and a 20-footer or something.
Because basically, the size of these, we'd have to have 4 of these to do, or 5 of these to do what those 3 are gonna
At
do.
$193 a month.
Right, so call it 200, which is easy, it's 2,000 a year apiece. So if it's 4 of them, there's your $8,000.
Right. Yeah, that's 1 year's rental. If
Right.
we rent, $8,000 is 1 year's rental.
Huh?
We know we're gonna be doing it more than 1 year.
Right, I mean, in my mind, the minimum we're doing is 2. That's
Mm-hmm.
before we,
But that's if everything in the world goes in our favor.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So, we'll need a motion on this so we can make forward progress. Make a motion to buy as many as we can, up to $8,000.
and that you're gonna do it.
And I'll do it, so I'm gonna be there Saturday.
Yep. Second.
Okay, let's vote. So, to be clear, we're putting a ceiling of $8,000, we're gonna try to buy all 3 of them. At least try to come home with 2 for storage. Okay, moving on. Item C, auditor update.
As I talked over with all 3 of you, I felt one of the highest priorities for me as new manager is really get a handle on where we are with this auditor's report. And so I contacted, actually written it down here. Where are we written down? I knew I wrote it
Very
down
first
somewhere.
line.
Yes. Kevin Edwards from R.H.R. Smith and Company, who actually lives in Dover. So he volunteered to come to the town office. We agreed on 9 o'clock in the morning, Friday, October 11th. I told him I'd like to meet with him directly. I have questions. I thought the board might have questions. I knew Michelle would have questions, and if he could come to the office, we could both talk to him. And I said that I would be inviting the Board of Selectmen, and he was fine with that. So anybody that has an interest in being there with their questions, that's when we're gonna delve into the audit. And I guess probably set up further meetings or actions as needed with him at that time. Just wanted to make sure we had that on the meeting tonight, so on the agenda, so everybody is aware of that meeting and could attend if they wanted to. And if you can't attend, but you have specific questions you want me to ask, let me know, and I will ask those questions.
Okay.
The other thing that they have spoken to me about is balancing the checkbook. They have everything balanced to June. So now Kevin asked, do we want them to continue to the end of the year? I haven't got a quote, they're supposed to give me a quote, and then turn everything over to me January 1st. It's an option, they didn't know if that was something that the town wanted to do, or...
So they would be working a running balance with us right to the end of the year
Yep,
for a fee.
yep. And I know the quote before was $54.50, to get us to where we are right now. So, and that took us from September, I think they were only supposed to do September to April or May, but they've gone all the way through June.
So if you have the information to June, is that something you can carry forward with from there?
I believe so. I'll know better once we meet with Kevin, and get a quote as far as what we can do. I'm not sure why they went out so far after, the contract was only April or May. But I also am curious as to how does this tie into our audit? What, I wanna see the two together.
Yeah.
Why are we offering this? Is there something more they're looking for?
Because by balancing the checkbook, you're essentially saying they're doing our reconciliation for us.
So I just wasn't sure with everything that's still going on with hiring a new clerk, with Brian getting his feet wet, if we wanted to look at that option or what direction the board would like to go.
And we can certainly meet with him on the 11th and
That's-
bring it back on the 16th for discussion.
That's
Right. But something for you to think about as
Right.
what they talked to me about.
Yeah. So I make a motion that that's what we do. We meet on the 11th and bring it back to the following board meeting for discussion and decision.
Second.
That's what we're doing. Okay, next item. Setting up interviews for deputy clerk position. We need to make the decision.
Well, and we're kind of gonna go into, this was kind of put on there, and then we kind of decided about an executive session to kind of go over some of those things, so I don't know if you wanna just table this until the end of the meeting. I might have jumped the gun a little bit on that.
The only thing I would say here, and this doesn't apply to any specific candidate, the 2.5, 3 days I've spent in the office, 3.5 days, whatever the heck it is now at this point, I've seen Michelle running her tail off I wanna get her some help in that office as soon as possible, she
Second
deserves it.
that. Yes, we,
I don't wanna burn out somebody that I know I'm gonna be critically depending on.
right, we're with you. Okay, I make a motion, we move that to an executive session to discuss that.
Second.
Okay. We'll do that at the end of the meeting. Okay, and the last item is budget discussion.
So now we need to be looking at getting your committee together. Figuring out what are we gonna do for future roads for summer? What are we gonna do, when are we gonna put our bids out for next year's winter plowing or mowing or cemeteries, whatever. So just trying to get you guys to be thinking forward. I know it's hard when we've got so much on our plates right now. But you now have a committee that you want to bring in, a full committee. So we need to be prepared for that. Plus Brian's got to get his feet wet, getting into all of the stuff that we've been working with. So just kind of where do you think, or when do you think we're gonna be ready to kind of pull the committee together? Are we looking at like November, maybe? Middle of November?
I almost feel like that's pushing that out there further than we should.
I mean, your books end December 31st.
Right.
So, because we don't go to the meeting, we don't go to town meeting until March, but
Right.
I just trying to give you a,
When do we,
Normally do it.
now we vote, you gentlemen vote on the warrant for town meeting if it, we do first Saturday in March here? Is that typical?
Last Saturday in March. is what
Last
we
Saturday in
normally-
I
March?
don't know, because my very first town meeting here was in May.
We normally do the last Saturday
So
in March.
your mid-March meeting is where you vote on the warrant?
Correct.
Or do you, well, you don't have to, or do you have to do it the meeting before so it gets printed in time for the town meeting?
Oh, they will sign their warrant. From now on, from about the time the books close, they're gonna be developing their warrant.
Developing it.
And
Cause it's gotta be printed ahead of time to be in the town report.
Right, okay,
so you want,
So the bottom line is, we wanna have the budget committee and their recommendations. Now, I'm familiar with seeing a town meeting warrant that says, selectmen advise passage, budget committee advises or doesn't advise.
Yep, that's how ours reads. It says recommended by select board, recommended by budget committee, so on and so forth.
So we really ought to have the budget committee totally wrapped up, I would think, by mid-February, beginning to mid-February.
yes.
And you're talking the holidays in there, so the majority of their work they're gonna be doing in January.
And this is a committee that currently doesn't exist. It's a group of people that have signed up on a sign-up sheet at this point. I mean, we have our previous budget committee, but, we don't know where Dr. Cabot's at. We don't know, we haven't reached out to anybody as a brand-new board. So right now, we have a sign-up sheet with names on it. That's where we're at, and the reason I had mentioned this to Michelle is, I think we need to first reach out to these people that are interested in being on the budget committee. Start pulling it together,
Ideally, I would think at either your first or second November meeting, you should be appointing a budget committee.
correct,
budget
that's where we were going.
Okay, so I can reach out to them, confirm that yes, they wanna be part of it. I can make appointment papers and then.
So we got some work to do on our roads. Planning in a few weeks here.
And then I can make those fake papers up for you to sign them, or for November, the 1st of November? Okay,
I think that's about the right time frame.
I agree.
And, the first week of November will be coming together at the church to vote.
And the other thing, I gotta shift gears in my mind, cause I think I did 6 years on the budget advisory committee. in Dover, and there were so many different departments there because of the size of the town, that you had different department heads coming in every week and meeting with you, that we should be able to do it here in a lot more concise period of time than it was done there. That you don't have Hilda, so that should shorten it up some.
I can't picture that you're gonna pull your budget committee in much before the middle of January, because you have to close your books, get your final tallies.
Right.
We need to meet so that you know what we've got for final tallies. Decide on what is gonna be carried over and not dumped to surplus. So we will have to meet before the budget committee's put
Right.
in.
Well, yes and no. The budget committee can start looking at stuff, if you're within a week or two of it. So, I mean, like the second week of January, I mean, nobody, or even, I don't know when the first of the year is this year, but what day it is, but if you get into that first week after New Year's, you could probably get them, because a lot of that first meeting is you talk about, especially if you've got new members, what the procedure is, what your procedure is, what you can and can't do as a budget advisory committee,
And that was my point in it, is we're gonna end up, this board is a green group of people. And this committee's gonna be a green group of people. And we need to start pulling this all together so
Yes.
they can get their feet under, to say, oh, you're the budget committee and here we go, we need it like
because
next week.
I have to review the rules on what a budget committee can and cannot do, but there were certain things there that you couldn't touch as a budget advisory committee. So,
So on December 31st, we close early, about a half a day. And so that I can start closing the books off.
Yeah, and that's a Tuesday.
That's a Tuesday. Yep. We have Wednesday off, which I'll probably be in the office because we'll be pulling that stuff. I should have everything pulled together for you by the middle of the next week. Just kind of a,
I'm usually not a big New Year's Eve, New Year's celebratory person, so I
See, right
can,
there.
sure, I can probably come in and help you with that.
Yep.
How many people? can
I've
be on the
outgrown
Sleep right
it.
through it.
budget? Is there a cap on the people? I can't remember.
What did we have,
we do not have
five?
a
Yeah.
cap.
5 or 6 that have signed up?
I think I have 6 on the sheet and then there's
3 prior.
3 prior. Yep.
You don't want it too big.
Bridie, Leslie Moores, and Dr.
Dr.
Cat.
Cat. So we've got the list and those 3 people to reach out to at some point.
I can make phone calls.
And
and
we
see.
probably don't want a committee bigger than 5 to 7 people.
Yeah, we had kind of honed in on that 5 to 7 before, is what we thought, but
Well, and if you have somebody that doesn't show up or misses, I don't know how many meetings you wanna meet with them, that's kinda up in the air until you get their feet wet, so.
it would be nice to have voice of experience on that committee, like, like somebody like Bridie or something that's sat that seat and,
Yeah, she said that with more people, she'd be willing to come back onto the committee, so.
yeah, we had some really good candidates for that too, I mean,
Yeah, there were some good people, yeah.
good people.
So that was just more, just
Yeah,
get to thinking about it type deal.
yep,
Before you go further, of course, I can't just leave it at E, we've gotta have an F, but,
yeah,
an update on Troy Nesbitt situation. I believe that, Lance was in this week, and I believe they go to court tomorrow. So, that's just a quick update. And, you had asked to find out where the Friends of Community money.
The fire
The
department.
fire department money.
the boot drive money,
I found it.
you did,
I found a receipt from the Friends of Sangerville Fire Department to the town, and it went into a revenue account and was dumped into our general fund.
so we have an answer to the riddle,
We do.
okay. We'll move on. Item 8, we've covered some of this, the town manager's report is the last item on the.
I'll go quick, cause I know it's getting late, we still got an executive session. But I wanted to make
We're
sure
still
we
early.
had. Huh?
I said, we're still early.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, late,
The auditor thing, my first bullet point, we've already covered. I've spent a lot of time riding roads, Josh and I spent a couple hours going out riding yesterday morning, checked in on the Burr Road project this morning. I gotta tell you, I'm real impressed with Scott Reynolds, he's a quality operation. Where he was when he was first starting yesterday, morning when Josh was out there to where he was this morning at 11 o'clock, he wasn't wasting any time.
No.
He did run into one chunk of what I would consider hard ledge or bedrock in the ditching on the east side, probably about the size of this table, but there's still room enough on the shoulder of the road for the water to flow around it. And especially where we have those culverts up over the hill, he's ditching the other side as well, so we should be able to divert enough water that way. So the other culvert, did he tell you that he found it?
Oh, I already inspected it, yeah.
Oh, okay, alright. So, as did I.
Yeah.
But he's got some, what I would consider soft ledge, shale, a little bit of hard ledge mixed into it, quartz, that is gonna obstruct that ditch on the east side. But he's pretty comfortable that he can get his hammer out there on his other machine and break that up enough so that it's not gonna be an issue. So the project's going great, he's doing really well with that. And then, like I said, the biggest thing is, I wanna spend some time with Josh over the next few weeks and really come up with a good number for summer roads for next year that we can present to this budget advisory committee. On my cemetery superintendent part of the job, I've gone out and I've walked around the Bailey Cemetery and the Knowlton's Mills Cemetery. And I don't see any major problems. The guys doing the mowing have done a pretty good job, but there's a lot of brush cutting, stuff like that. They can wait till next year and the next budget is fine, but within the next, I'm essentially gonna have to have a plan for the budget for some of that, cause there's some stuff that's gone along. I mean, some of those headstones in the front row of Knowlton's Mills, there's a couple of pine trees that have grown up, you can't even read the stones. And, it's just some stuff, just some chainsaw work and, but I'm continuing to kind of develop a plan so that, when we look at our what we need to spend for money for cemeteries next year, we can include that.
Where's Bailey?
That was one we rode by yesterday, the south Sangerville, right by his gate.
Oh, yep. Okay, I didn't know.
That is where,
I didn't know they called that Bailey.
for your history of Sangerville, and I think I'm not 100% sure of this, but I believe the family of Sir Hiram Maxim several members of his family are buried in the back corner of that cemetery. I'm a bit of a nerd at times, and I was wandering around that one day reading names and dates and stuff. Because I used to push a lawnmower around cemeteries in Corinna, so you kind of learn a lot about history from walking around graveyards. Spent a lot of time in the office with Michelle, just having her teach me what she can about the computer stuff. Most of that we've already talked about. Met informally with Lance, Matt, Bob Pansiera, and Joe, and Pansiera is the only one that I didn't know previously. Not that this is particularly germane, but Lance and I kind of figured out we had to play together as kids down to camp back 50 years ago, so.
Well, while we're right there, the Joe Guyot, I had a citizen that came to me about a problem with his neighbor's cats. He contacted Michelle, Joe came out. Wasn't able to do anything about the cats. And the cats are in his garage, they're on his lawn, and so he's He's not satisfied with the answer he got from Joe. He wants to deal with the cats. He's told he can't trap them, he can't, so, the cats are crapping on his lawn, he mows his lawn and he has to clean the tires of his machine, they're in his garage, making a mess. And his neighbor has a whole bunch of cats. He doesn't think they're, they've had their shots and all that stuff, and he doesn't feel like when Joe came for a visit that he got any results. And he asked me, where do we go from here? And I said, well, I will pass that along the chain, and here we are, I'm talking to you.
When Joe came in on that situation, because he came and saw me, I gave him the rundown. I had been told it was 30 cats, that was an issue. Joe said there's only 8. He tried to get her to give up the cats. She won't. And she told him that those are her cats and to not track them or take them from her.
Yep.
And that's where Joe left it.
I guess at this point, my question would be, is this a town matter or a civil matter?
Well, this is,
Well, an animal on your property is an animal control matter, and I think.
That's the
he-
complaint.
To me, he has the right to take them if they're on that person's property at the time.
see, I thought animal control could come in the second trip around and just set cat traps up on his lawn and take them away as they venture off the property.
But there is a different law when it comes to dogs and cats.
Yep.
So I'm not sure what to say.
And Pat
Every time
claims
the dog
that the-
stuff is about the cat.
Pat claims that the number of cats is a lot more than 8. Like you can count them all at the same time, more than 8.
Who you talking about?
It's down on Mill Street. The problem is
8
on Mill
Mill,
Street.
it's, the house number is 6 Mill Street, it's a white one. He is in 8 Mill Street, Mr. Bush.
All right. Here's my suggestion. I get a hold of Joe, and Joe and I go down and visit these people again, both the complainee and the complainant. And I can kind of question Joe a little bit at the time about what he knows for the law. And see if we can maybe negotiate just a friendly neighborly. And if we can't, then I do some research into what the laws are.
Yep.
I mean, you certainly got a nuisance problem, I mean, on the other guy's property. I don't think there's much law on how they roam or how many you have to have, but I think there should be some stand with ACO as to them being from there.
Do you
Put in a pen, put in or whatever.
Should be,
That's what I'm trying to find.
it is. It's-
Continue on.
And beyond that, no, that's a legitimate issue, and Josh and I have already kind of discussed, I mean, I understand the fact that, we went from Gary to Joe as an ACO here. Joe is 83 years old, he's got some health issues, and we may be, and I'm sure Joe would be fine with me saying this, we may be looking for another ACO in the near future because he may determine himself that he needs to retire from this stuff for health reasons.
How many complaints do we average with ACO stuff?
Not many usually. I've,
Well, we would know about a lot of it anyways, because it'd be people who straight calling him.
true. I think this is like maybe the 4th call that we've had, not necessarily cats, but
I just
I'll
brought
try
this
to
up so that you were aware.
Yeah.
Pat's talked to me about it. I initiated the first call.
And I'm fine going down with Joe and talking to both parties and see if there's something we can do here.
Right.
Because, maybe if we just go down there and have a polite conversation, maybe we can get somewhere, probably we can't. If we can't, then we do some research and figure out what the next step is.
Right. I just wanted to, he brought it to me this morning, wanted to talk about it, and I'm just bringing it where it needs to go.
And then on my report, there's nothing else of real significance. Like I said, I've been working with Michelle to learn everything I can about our finances, how we work those. Make sure I can come up with a list of good questions for the auditors, and as I've told all three of you at times, that's one of my biggest priorities, is to really dive in and learn everything I possibly can about our town finances. Beyond that, the last bullet point I had on my report is what we're gonna go into executive session to discuss.
Yep, one other thing that you had listed on yours, and we had talked about it, the tree that's on the entrance on the
My
town.
apologies, I meant to bring that up.
So on the old town hall building, there's a tree laying on the entrance on the power line and up against the building. I think we need to contact whoever.
I've kind of stepped out and already done that. Matt Blockler's got a guy on the department that apparently is a licensed arborist. He has insurance. He's supposed to be coming in to see us tomorrow, and we're gonna get a copy of his insurance and his license. And if he's willing to do it for a reasonable cost, we're gonna say, do it, get it done, and send us the bill.
Cool. Love it.
The other person, if he doesn't work out, would be Ingstrom.
Okay, yeah.
We've used Ingstrom in the past, and
Yeah,
they're
and
Pretty
reasonable.
quick job.
yeah, I know him. I know Steve personally, so I have no problem calling him, and so I just kind of figured, because if we had somebody local, because I didn't want one of Matt's guys doing it unless they were qualified. Like, basically that situation, I wanted a licensed arborist that is bonded, which I know Steve is, and
Being on the power line thing is.
yeah, and being right next to
Well,
it.
it's up against the stained glass windows.
But Matt brought up this guy, and if he's already, if he's on the fire department, he's a resident of the town, and
Now, there may be some issue there too, we've run into this before. I don't think it's a problem with fire department people, conflicts of interest, hiring somebody that's already, there's no
I don't
conflict.
I don't
think
think
there is.
so.
Because they're not full-time employees, and they're
Yeah.
not. And really, on the fire side of that, you really only run into issues if they're IAFF, which no small town fire department is.
Good. Moving on, item 9, our road report. Burrows Road project, we just got an update on that. The only other item on that is, there's a culvert on Maple Street.
Josh and I discussed that. I went over, did you go over and look at it? You agree with me?
I do. If you look at the ditches on both sides of that whole road, the ditch is filled right in.
Yeah.
And if there's no ditch, there's
There's
really
no
no
point
need,
in putting
no
a culvert
culvert.
in.
And where we're at with the budget right now, I say we see where we're at the end of the Burr Road.
Okay, I think
And
that's
then,
reasonable.
At the very least, because they're gonna go through it. I mean, they've started to go through it already.
Yeah, it's the top of that's already ripped
At
open.
the very least, I think we should go pull it, fill it in for now, and then when we ditch, replace it.
I think that's a reasonable solution. A reasonable plan.
The other thing that's not on there is, they started grading today, so Jackman Corner and Bean Hill is done. We have an issue we have to address on Bean Hill. On the
Right.
top of the hill, right,
Top of the hill, once you go down through the gut.
yeah. There's a house there on the left, and I can't remember the house number. They just paved with reclaim pavement. And whoever did it, there's gotta be 3 yards of pavement in the road. And it's thick. And they tried scraping it with a grader today, and it ain't moving. And it's So I really feel, I talked to him earlier, that him and I should probably go knock on the door and tell them that they technically you can't do nothing with a town road, they need to take care of the problem, and if they don't, then I guess we'll have to go somewhere else, but hopefully they'll be willing to scrape it up and.
So that's it on the roads. The grading started this week and it's gonna be done in another week or so.
It should be done maybe Monday, Tuesday. They got going a day later than they thought they would, so.
They're gonna run into some rain this weekend too. I don't know if
Possible
it's gonna work.
Saturday, maybe even Monday.
Yeah.
So it may actually be the end, more towards the end of the week, depending on.
But the job so far is looking very good.
Okay, moving on. Last item is an executive session for personnel discussion. To discuss our deputy clerk position. It's PL 1999C-144 subsection 1. I make a motion, we go to executive session.
Second.
It's a vote. We're going to executive session.